Hello, everybody, and welcome. So, whilst we wait for everyone to join, if you just want to put in the chat where you're watching from, we'll give everyone, I'm going to say 30 seconds, and we'll see what everyone's coming from. Every time I do one of these, I always get hit with the lag. But let's say 10 seconds, and then we'll hop in. Amazing. Lazar from Serbia. There we go. Oh, they're all coming in. Always makes me wait. Frigid, Colorado, Denmark, Canada. Brilliant. Love it. Love it. Okay, so we'll get started with the presentation. One thing I want to say, so just before we get into it, we built this presentation, well, I built this presentation based on all of the really popular topics in the last presentation. So when the chat was very active, we looked at that and built this presentation or this workshop around those points. So it's really, really helpful whenever you guys are engaged with something or you want to ask questions about anything in the presentation, pop it into the chat. Make sure, whatever you want to ask it. Any comments, comment, because that helps, because we're going to do a few more of these. That helps inform the next ones. And throughout, I'm going to try and answer some questions. That said, with the presentation itself, I'm going to try and go for about 30 to 40 minutes and leave another 20 to 30 minutes at the end to go through all the questions. So whatever you want to ask, get asking. Now, welcome to Scaling Your Success with Squarespace. So I'll kick off with what we'll cover. First off, for those who don't know, we'll go through what is Squarespace. Then we'll go through who am I. So those two, for those who aren't familiar, are just very basic but very important slides for us to go through. That shapes everything coming up. So we'll recap the previous workshop. Most of you guys will have probably seen that, but it helps to recap. Then we're going to get into the meat of it. So we'll go through low-hanging fruit, and this is all aimed at basically how to make more money, how to be better at Squarespace. So low-hanging fruit, pricing your services properly. Now, this is actually something I've only recently done, and it has helped massively with scaling my rates. So stick around for that. And then finding inspiration like a pro. A lot of you guys last time were asking, well, how do I get better? How do I actually get inspired for a build? We'll cover that. And then at the end, as I say, 20, 30 minutes, depending on how much I waffle on, we'll have for a Q&A. So let's start off with what is Squarespace. I know most of us are going to know, but just for those who don't, Squarespace, it's not just websites. So, first and foremost, of course, it's a website builder. But then Squarespace is also, I won't butcher this and say it's fourth, but it's one of the biggest domain registrars in the world now. We have e-commerce functionality. You've got marketing tools like email campaigns. You've got analytics built in, scheduling, so Acuity. Then you've got content and memberships. I host my own course, Six Figure Design Club, on Squarespace, obviously. Then we've got invoicing. So this is a new one. And then creator tools. So if you want to spin up a free website, look at BioSite. It's a really, really cool free website builder. Now, who am I? The most exciting part. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Sam Crawford. I'm an industry-leading Squarespace expert. This is me before the buzz cut. I've built over 450 Squarespace websites, and now I coach other Squarespace designers how to scale their web design business. So if you are a Squarespace designer, which I assume a lot of us here today are, if you go to sixfiguredesign.club, you can apply for that course there. So there'll be a QR code at the end, but if you are looking to scale into 2025, this is the place to be, if I do say so myself. Now, let's just quickly recap what we went through. So if you want to watch the full recap, you can use the Ring Central link from last time, or I uploaded it onto my YouTube channel as well. So youtube.com/SJCRWFD, and you can watch the full replay there. Now, what we covered was the solopreneur boom. So this essentially went over why the company of one is popular, why it's so effective, and why I recommend it for most people. But I would say from when you start out to about 200K a year, solopreneur is the way to go. The freelance advantage. Then we went through how to actually structure your day as a web designer. So if you feel lost in your days, if you don't have that structure, we went through lots of different ones here. Then we went through how to get clients. So, or not how to get clients, sorry, the stages of client communication. So once you've got clients, how do we run them through a project? And then finally, at the end of a project, how do we hand over? So if you want to see that, head here. Now, the good stuff. So low-hanging fruit, what I mean by low-hanging fruit is, let's say, you know, as designers, we always focus on the really big stuff, you know, build a website, build a store, build a course. But there's all these small things that can prop up our income, whether it be per month, whether it be, you know, an annual thing. There's lots of small things that, okay, on their own, they don't make a huge difference. But when they all come together, you're looking at maybe $1,000 to $2,000 extra a month. So one of these is the affiliate program. I recommend this to every single person. If you're a Squarespace designer, there's no reason why you shouldn't be on the Impact. It's called the Impact Affiliate Program. It's free. I believe it's in every state, because I think last year it wasn't in every state. Now it is. UK, Europe. You might want to check if you're outside of those areas. But they pay, again, I don't want to butcher this, but I'm pretty sure it's about $100 there or thereabouts. Could be more, for every single business annual website that you build on Squarespace. Sam, thanks for sharing the links. So it's in every state, yeah. And, you know, this is something we're all doing anyway. We are all building Squarespace websites. So why would you leave this money on the table? This is like the most foundational thing that you can do. If you are not signed up, go and get signed up. You know, for me, I build roughly 100 to 150 sites. Maybe 90 of those will go for a business plan or higher and annual. You know, what's that? That's about $9,000. You know, okay, we do it at scale, but even just take that down to 10, 20 a year, you're looking at like 1 to 2K extra that you are doing that thing anyway. It's no extra work. Yes, you have to send in some forms, but, you know, for the sake of a couple of grand plus per year, the forms are worth it. It will take you like 30 minutes. So get signed up. And then this is something that I've been experimenting with a lot over the past probably 6 months, and this is high leverage tasks. So if you look at this, there's a quote or it's a meme or whatever it is online, and it's turning one screw, $1, but knowing which screw to turn, the other 9,999. Okay, this is a ridiculous example, but what it means is something that is easy for us. Oh, and by the way, just on that previous slide, payouts on personal plans too. So £38, about $50. So even on the lowest plan, amazing. Now back onto this slide, something that is so easy for us, something that we overlook, may be incredibly, incredibly difficult and frustrating to a client. So for instance, for us to connect up a domain, you might find a client who's tearing their hair out. Like, oh, I can't, it's telling me to input DNS settings. What are those? Well, to us, because it's second nature, we go, well, how do you not know what DNS settings are? Just take a step back for a moment. It's because we're so ingrained in web design. Of course, we know what that is. But then, you know, if you go to the doctor and they say, oh, your blah, blah, blah bone is fractured, you're not going to know what that bone is if they say their jargon. This is just web design jargon. So we can connect the DNS and it will take how long? 3-4 minutes? That is a task that would take a client hours sometimes. If they're looking through tutorials, if they're putting in the things wrong. They keep putting like A records in instead of C name. We could save them hours. And so a task of such low time input, we could charge $100 for, maybe even $200. That's just one example. There's other things like if you want to do some CSS on a website, if you want to install a third-party plugin, if you want to add Acuity into a page for someone, if you want to set up an email automation, all these things, we just do them without thinking. But think of them as mini products. And I'll put my money where my mouth is here. I am setting up a store. I'm giving you a free game here. I'm setting up a store on buycrawford.com, which is obviously my own site. And we're going to sell these small services because they are productized. Is productizable a word? Regardless, if it's not, I've just made it up. Productizable services where, it's, and when I say high leverage, it means a lot of money for not a lot of time input. So I will sell a domain connection for maybe $60, and we will do that in 10 minutes. We will do, what else will we do? Blog population. That may take an hour, but it's $200 or $300 for like 5 blogs. Sit and do a list of 30 things that you do every day on a website, but you don't even think twice about. Actually think about them, give them a price on how much that's worth to a client, and then look at the time that you would spend on it. You'll find that you probably have 10 really high leverage tasks that you can serve to clients at a rate that they're happy with, but also that isn't really tied to an hourly rate. It's tied more to an outcome. And that's why I found this to be very important. I think when I started to understand, hey, I'm selling my knowledge and the outcome. I'm not selling, I'm not going to be penalized for being slow or for being fast, sorry. Like I could take an hour doing the DNS settings and charge the same rate, but what's the point? And so that's a really, really important mindset to take into 2025 is it's not just sites. There's so many small things around the sites that you can be serving to clients. And then finally, let me just do, yeah, there we go. Okay, so video content. I don't know if you guys can see that there, but I produce video content on YouTube, and an average video will get 50 views. It's 2-3 minute tutorials on, hey, here's how you connect the DNS. Here's how you do an underline. Here's how you resize text. Really basic stuff. But if you look at that just from ad revenue, I get £1,000 a month. And this has gone, so I got monetized about 3 months ago. It went from 300 to 600 to now, I think it's like 1,200 now. So since this screenshot, it's gone up. We have a really strong niche because not only are we in web design, we're in Squarespace. And if you do tutorial videos like I do, your percentage watch time is really high. And so you have an extremely high value channel if you can do these types of videos. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, oh, I can never do video content. Not in a million years. I challenge you to go back to my first video. So my YouTube channel is at by Crawford, or one word. Look at my first video. It is awful. It was just under 2 years ago. It was terrible. I didn't know how to talk to a camera. I'm not a shy guy, but on camera, it was horrible. This has so many benefits. So A, you are proving to yourself that you can get on camera. Then B, once you become more comfortable on camera, you're more comfortable talking to clients, you can be more comfortable on calls, and therefore you would definitely land more work. If you come on and you exude confidence, you can immediately charge a higher rate, and clients respect that. But then there's so many other things. So like, okay, eventually you may get monetized. I don't get that many views, but the monetization rate is amazing. So that just adds to those small income increases. But you also get clients from YouTube. I've had probably 4 or 5 people in December, so the past 10 days, say, oh, I literally come off a call about an hour ago, and the guy said, oh, I was looking at a tutorial on how to change the blog title size on my site. And I thought, oh, I'll just get a professional to do it. This is the guy. So what it does is it gives you, it pre-vets you to clients. Oh, this person knows what they're talking about. I'll just hire them. And, you know, some people, not naming names, Henry Purchase, say that that isn't an effective method. However, it is absolutely an effective method. So I encourage anyone, even if you feel nervous to do it, maybe you feel like you look stupid on camera, it will be one of the best things you ever do, regardless of Squarespace, probably in your life, just to be able to have confidence. I could never have done this if I hadn't done that. And I think everyone should at least try it. And I'm sure people in the comments who are in Six Figure Design Club, who have started creating video content, they will attest to this 100%. Now, pricing your services properly. This is something, so Brian said shots fired. I know Henry's not on the call, so that's fine. So pricing your services, this is, I think most of us will struggle with this. And I've written an article about this, so I think Sam will put the link in the chat here. But I've written a full blog about this on why Squarespace designers and web designers in general, I guess, should be raising their rates with every single project. You need to be pushing up further and further and further with every project you do. And there's so many reasons for this, and that blog goes into it. But the one thing that I would like to, I don't know, maybe this is controversial, I don't know. But the one thing that I would like to ask you guys is, if you're honest with yourself, are your skills worth the rate that you are charging right now? So the reason I ask this is people come to me and they've been, let's say, in the game, I don't know, a year, a couple of years, and they say, Sam, no one is hiring me. I get on the calls and I give them my rate, they go away and they never come back. And then I'll say, well, okay, if you are completely honest with yourself, let's say the price point is $5,000. You charge $5,000 and these 5 other designers charge $5,000. Compare your work to those designers. Are you better? And oftentimes the answer is no. So sometimes as designers, and I've had to do this myself in the past, is we have to eat humble pie for just a little while and say, okay, there are designers out there charging less who are better. They are more specialized. They have better skills. They have better communication skills. Maybe they are more proximal to clients, whatever it may be. But the point is, they are better and they either charge the same rate or they charge less. So what we have to do is go back to the drawing board. To go forwards, we need to go backwards. That sounds like a very, very wise proverb. But what I mean is, you know, you may be great, but if there's other great people in the same bracket and they are better, then it's pointless charging that rate. It's better to go back $1,000 or $2,000. You know, let's say it's 5,000. It's better to go back just a little bit. And instead of landing 0 clients, you can land 5 at that rate, because you're going into a different pool of designers. You're landing, instead of the 5K jobs for now, you've had some humble pie, some delicious humble pie, and you're going for the 2 to 3K websites. It's a completely different world. It's easier. Well, sometimes it's easier. There's less on the line, but you can be more comfortable and refine your skills. You can test more things out because you have a larger client base in which to practice. You know, you don't have to stay there that long, but as I say, it is so much better to have clients at a lower rate than hold on to this higher rate that you just can't land clients at. That said, once you get better and better, you can come back into this pool and try that rate again. By the time you come back into there, you'll be a better designer. You will have better communication skills. You'll have a better idea of what it takes to land jobs at that rate. So this goes for any price range whatsoever. If you find you feel like you're doing everything right, but you're just not landing anything, even though you're getting on calls with clients, your rate is probably too high. So go backwards, perfect it, and then try and raise it with every project after that. So hopefully that makes sense. It's something I had to do. It's very humbling because you feel like it should always go up, but sometimes it needs to go back just so you can start landing jobs again. Get into that momentum, almost train that muscle of landing jobs, what it's like to go through multiple projects at once. Then you can come back and then you can go up. Now, tiered pricing is something, so this is what I was talking about before when I've been experimenting. And with this, basically, we want to keep our project on guardrails. So what I do, and I've probably been doing this for about 3 or 4 months, is I'll have on my onboard form, I will have 3 different tiers. These aren't packages, they're just general guidelines. So it's about 60% of the way down the form. So the client has already bought in, they've already started filling it out. So they're more committed. If you put the price right at the top, they're just going to become a price buyer, look at the price, and then if it's not quite right, they're going to leave it. But if you get them to fill out, 50, 60% of the form, then they kind of know what you're about. They've sunken some time into it. They're more likely to fill out what tier they're in. And so I feel like I keep adjusting my eyebrows. And so what I have is tier 1 is 2.5 or from 2.5K. And you'll get like up to 4 pages, no code, and 1 round of revisions. And there's a few other things, and I have examples of sites. Tier 2 is up to 7 pages. Then it's from 6.5K. So tier 1 is from 2.5 to 6.5. Tier 2 is 6.5 up to 20K, up to 7 pages, some CSS. You get 1 page mocked up in Figma, and then the rest is built directly into Squarespace. And then some examples in there. Tier 3 is from 20K. That can be unlimited pages, unlimited code, unlimited whatever you want. And this keeps clients within guardrails. So what happens is they'll place themselves into a tier. They'll think, okay, what do I need? Whereabouts do I fit? It's not a package, there's flexibility, but it's a general guide that the client can say, okay, well, I'm in tier 3. And so what happens when they submit that form is they give consent to you to charge at least 20K for that project. Think of it like this. If a client is not willing to pay that money, they wouldn't click the tier, they wouldn't select the tier, and B, they just wouldn't submit the form. So the client has gone out of the way to fill in the form, select the tier, and then submit it. Well, then they're in. Then you can send the proposal. Ellis, question, that's in pounds or dollars. It's in dollars. Everything I do is in dollars because most of my clientele is in the US. And so this has been an amazing tool for me. And I would recommend everyone try it. So I had Brian, who's watching this, he asked me, okay, hey, Sam, and this was before I told him about this. He said, I am going to offer my clients 3 options on my proposal. But by the time you get to the proposal, it's too many things for someone to focus on. When you get to the proposal stage, you just want them to see the package and click accept and pay. You don't want to give them any more choice. You give them the choice in the form before they submit anything. And that way the proposal comes in, it's one thing, they select, accept, pay. So try tiered pricing, give it a go, and you will see that you can probably charge a lot more than you think for your websites. Now, there's a few questions coming in. Luca, in case where you price it so low. Oh, right, I see. Luca, I know that you're at the start of your journey, so just price it as low as you can go without doing it for free. You have to get things into the portfolio. I'm talking when the previous example, I'm talking about folks who feel like they should be able to land a 5K website, but they only feel like that because that's just the number that they've picked. But they haven't looked at the competition and seen that the competition is better and charging less. So that's why it's an annoyingly humbling experience, but it has to be done. Brian says, I'll link to the examples of the websites, actual websites, or link to the portfolio. They are actual, I think they're actual websites. Patrick, what platform do you use for streamlined onboarding forms? Bonsai. I use Bonsai for forms, proposals, invoices, everything like that. I love Bonsai. So I think it's hellobonsai.com, I think. Yeah, Luca answered it for me. Okay, so finding inspiration like a pro. I know a ton of people struggle with this because I've had so many people directly ask me, hey, Sam, how do you find inspiration? I feel like my designs are flat. So there's a few things that I want to go through here. The Inspo Hub, and then I'm going to go through something that I call the farm. So stay around for that one because that is something that's changed the game for me and my team actually. So the Inspo Hub, if you are stuck on a website and you think, I just don't know where to start, then there's a few different places that we can go. Check out templates, check out like a demo pages of templates. Now it's really hard to like imagine what goes into the template, but you can take inspiration from tons of places. So not just template sellers, but you can go on like other platforms templates. So Webflow, Wix, all of those. It doesn't have to just be Squarespace because in Squarespace templates we can just use them. I did mention it. Ask the client. This is the first port of call. On my onboard form, I asked the client, give me 3 inspiration sites and tell me why. Tell me why you like them. Don't just randomly send links. So give me 3 examples. What part of those websites do you like? So is it the hero section? Is it the about section, the blog, the footer, the way it scrolls? What is it? And this way the client guides the build for you realistically. So you get the inspiration from them, you get the list of pages from them, you get the feedback from them. Imagine it like Ratatouille. For those of you who've seen Ratatouille, you're the chef, it's your hands doing the work, but Ratatouille, your client is the one under the hat pulling the strings. Think of it like that, and you can't go far wrong. I'm sure someone will clip that up with me doing that like Ratatouille. Anyway, aggregation platforms. What I mean here is like sites like awards. So AWWW boards. They have loads and loads of builds, website builds that they'll put up and people can vote on them. I think there's another one called Godly Websites. Behance and Dribble, again, amazing platforms where you can go on. Let's say your client is a real estate agent. You can search real estate website and it will come up with hundreds, if not thousands of examples of real estate websites. You take all of these points and this becomes your hub. So previous builds, we'll come on to that in a moment. Hire a Visual Pro. So this is a bit more advanced, but I now have this, a Figma designer. So some people just have the gift and it took me a lot of work. I don't have the gift. I just worked at being a better designer, but there are some people out there who are just phenomenal. So what I do now for tier 2 and above is I'll hire a UX designer, like just purely graphic designer, to mock up a homepage for me. And this then informs the rest of the build. We build that out verbatim, but then we build the rest in the image of what he has designed up. And sometimes this is all you need. Like it's just that spark of inspiration to then light up the whole site. Communities. literally just ask in Facebook groups, in forums, Slack channels. Hey guys, I'm looking for inspiration. Can anyone give me a link? Can anyone audit my design? People are always happy to help in communities. So just ask for help and people will give it. I think that's it. So previous builds, I mean, I need a better name for this because I don't think it's that clear, but this is called the website farm. And what this is it's a Notion document with all sorts of niches that we've worked. And you can see here, agency and consultancy. We've got stuff for real estate, law, sports. There's so many. And then example sites that we've built. And the link is into, most of the time, the Squarespace domain. So it takes us directly into the site and we can sort of take the sections, like we can go in and edit the sections. And then what this does is when you get like so we'll still take on, $1,000, $2,000 builds if it's on like a platform like 99 Designs, because I can then build up our feedback and we can go over the rankings and blah, blah, blah. But with these, what we do is we take sections, because we've built 470 sites now. It's something ridiculous. What we do, I mean, it's all on my dashboard. So we'll go in, take a hero section, take a below the fold section, contact section, summary block from all these different sites. Let's say it's a real estate site. We'll take it all from different real estate sites, put it all together, and within an hour, you've got a website there, or at least a homepage that would have taken 10, 15 hours to build from scratch. So, I mean, this is a crude way to put it, but think of it like a Frankenstein's monster. You bring in all these different elements. So you've got your own element library almost. You bring it in and you put it together and you're moving fast. So if you start fast and you get something to the client fast, you can then iterate fast. So the quicker you can get something visual to the client, the quicker you can get the feedback and the quicker you can refine it, can sculpt it in a way that the client is happy with. Now, if you guys want to connect with me, you can email me anytime at sam@sixfiguredesign.club. You can apply for Six Figure Design Club at sixfiguredesign.club. If you do want to scale your income with Squarespace, this is the place to be. We have, there's a few options. You can do community access. So you just pay for the community. There's the full course. And then I do one-to-one coaching as well. So if you want any of that, head there. And then Instagram and YouTube, you can catch me here. If you want to just scan the QR code, I just tested it. It does work. So that will take you to a page where you can connect with me, newsletter, YouTube, Instagram, all that good stuff. Now, with that said, hopefully we should have some questions to go through. So thank you, everybody. We've got until 8:15. So at least, 30 minutes. Let's hope we can go through a ton of questions. Let's see. Okay, so we'll start with Tom. He talked about the payouts. So just something to note in case you missed that before for everyone. It used to be, so if you want to pay out, it has to be annual. The client has to subscribe annually, but it used to be business and above. Now it's personal and above. So any plan annually you get paid for. So about $50, which is amazing per website. You think how much that snowballs over time. Lazar asks, what is DNS? Lazar, I know you were just starting out. That is basically how you connect a domain to a website. So you'll have a domain registrar and you'll put in the DNS settings. So it'll be like, it's called like a CNAME and then A records, I think. And then you just copy and paste the record from Squarespace into the registrar. Or if you're using Squarespace, you can just connect it with a button. But you copy and paste it across, and then the website and the domain talk to each other, and then they link up. Luca, we covered your question. Ellis, we talked about GBP versus dollars. Just a quick one on that, actually. If you use a payment processor, so I use Bonsai, you can charge any client in any currency that you want. So on the form, it is in dollars, just because I'm appealing to the majority. As I say, 80-90% of my clientele is US based. However, when you go to invoice or send a proposal, if they're in the UK, pounds. If they're in Europe, euros. Ireland, euros. You can charge them whatever you want. So that's a point for everyone, is you should always charge your client in their currency. Don't try and make them bend to your will. Just always try and be accommodating. Brian says, are the links to examples of websites that, oh yeah, we went through this, but it depends. So sometimes you guys will know, clients will like to have a little fiddle with websites, and sometimes it can go belly up. So if you find that the sites that you're linking to in your form, so in the tiers, have gone a bit haywire, just link to the item in your portfolio and everyone's a winner. Patrick, do you use Streamlined onboarding forms? Oh, what platform? Yeah, so that's Bonsai, but Squarespace has forms as well. This is something I need to explore, just because I've set everything up on Bonsai. I've been reluctant because I've got loads of other stuff going on. It's kind of been low down on the priorities. But with Squarespace invoicing, Squarespace payments and forms, I'm going to have a look into it. You know, as someone who does Squarespace presentations, I'm sure I need to do that. So I'll check it out. I mean, if anyone knows or if anyone has had good experiences with it, let me know. Theo, I'm only 16, so I can't use Upwork and can't get verified for many other freelance websites. Okay, so there's a Theo, email me after this, because so for those of you who don't know, I have another program which is solely for beginners if you've basically never touched Squarespace before. And this lives in something called Digital Launchpad. That is someone else's, like, what would you even call it? Someone else's umbrella course where they have professionals come in and coach. Mine is Squarespace. Now, there's a ton of beginners in there. I know a ton of you guys are also on the call, which is amazing. But point being, I know there was a guy literally yesterday, who's 14 years old, and he's made his first $1,000 with Squarespace. That blew my mind. So what I will do is I will connect you with him and see how basically he was able to bring in, or I'm pretty sure he was on some platform. So I will connect you guys and we can see if that works. If not, for now, just build up your LinkedIn. I'm pretty sure LinkedIn allows 16 plus. I hope so. The things that you can do: build up a LinkedIn brand, start doing the YouTube videos, just really basic tutorials just to get confident and get comfortable. If you can teach something, then you've mastered it. Teaching is like the final level of mastery. So work on that, work on the foundations. LinkedIn, YouTube, build up your own portfolio. And then if you can, ask around. I think my first ever website was like a £60 website for my stepdad, because he was a freelancer, and I just built him like a really basic Squarespace website. That was the first money I'd ever made with Squarespace, and the feeling was amazing. So just try and ask your local network, family, friends, and that will get you on your way. And also, by the time you then turn 18, you'll have all this experience under your belt. Then you can go onto the platforms and then you'll absolutely crush it. Patrick, when scaling, what is the best way to find clients? I always gave attention to groups and LinkedIn. However, it feels that leads fall off the pipeline, even though they bite at the price point we set in our call. Okay, interesting. So I would say I never talk about price on call. I don't like to do it. If a client asks me, I will say you need to fill in the onboard form first. I feel like that gives more buy-in from the client because they've taken the time to fill out the form, they've seen the rates, they've still submitted the form. Then you can send a proposal. If I was you, I'd be analyzing, okay, even though the client says that, okay, this is fine, people just say that sometimes because they're being nice and they feel awkward on a call if they say no to a rate. So maybe start recording your calls. I use at the moment Fireflies. So if I think it's fireflies.ai, look at your calls, look at the professionalism of your forms, of your proposals. If, like, for instance, if I send a bonsai form and it's like completely custom, it's got my logo, everything's broken down, it's like super dialed in, and then someone else sends a PDF where they need to send an email back instead of just click a button and get taken through to a payment gateway. Who's giving the better experience? It could be as small as that. There's so many places where people drop off because your process isn't dialed in. So in terms of finding them, it sounds like you're not actually having trouble finding them, it's closing them. In terms of where I find my leads, I always say about Upwork because that's where I started. Made a decent amount of money through there. Now, if you are scaling, what you want to focus on is a more holistic view of bringing clients in. So SEO, I've invested so much money into SEO, but we cracked page 1 in the US and the UK this past 2 weeks. And I've had so many inbounds, like call bookings, form submissions, emails. Even I had a phone call from Google My Business. Crazy. Anyway, point being, SEO will be one of the best things you ever invest in. So SEO, YouTube, I get so many leads from YouTube now, you would not believe. Took me almost 2 years of posting 3 to 5 videos every week, but it was worth it. I'm so much more confident on camera. I was able to speak on stage. I was able to come across really confident on client calls, even when it's like a $30,000 job on the line. I'm talking to a boardroom. It just is what it is because I know I can teach people on Squarespace. I know that I know Squarespace like the back of my hand, and I'm confident on camera. And that sounded so arrogant. I didn't mean it like that. But point being, YouTube, if you're not doing it already, definitely do it. Instagram, wouldn't mess with it for leads. I am only on Instagram to promote Six Figure Design Club, not by Crawford. LinkedIn, depends how you're using it. I post now 5 times a week, 5 times on the business. You have to be ever present. You need people to see you as the authority in the niche. When they think Squarespace, they think Patrick. That's who you need to be. So LinkedIn, YouTube, SEO, 99 Designs is probably the best of the best. Let's be honest. For those of you who know or who are on the marketplace, that's the place to be. That is when someone searches Squarespace expert or Squarespace web designer on Google, that is it. That's the official Squarespace expert marketplace. Try and get on there. I know they just took on a ton of designers recently. Try and get on there if you're not already. I think that should be enough. Oh, and referrals obviously give such a amazing service that referrals come to you. Lazar, I'm just starting to use Squarespace, but I have a lot of experience with Figma. Amazing. Well, you should have no issues with the creativity side. You can create elements in Figma, put them in as images on Squarespace. Amazing. Yeah, great. Michelle says, for Circle referral payments, I've had a few instances where the client started their own site. It was only a shell. Yeah, interesting. So sometimes I just let this go. But yeah, I would say to the client, if you want that referral payment, be like, hey, I've just started this site. We're going to build on this site because it's easier, and then we'll transfer. That has never failed for me because you are the expert. If you say to a client with confidence, hey, we're building it here, this is why, then why would they question it? They have no reason to, because that is the best way to do it. It's on your account. And then the client can't just run off with the website without paying the final 50% as well. So everyone's a winner. Lazar, again, love it. So far, I think Squarespace is so much easier than Figma. Oh, but it's good to know both. Yeah, I mean, they serve 2 different purposes. Figma is for mockups. I don't think you can do fully functional websites. I know you can do like prototypes, but I don't think you can host a website on Figma. I could be wrong, but yeah, different things. I only use Figma. Well, I don't use. I have a graphic designer who does it for me. Luca, when discussing tiered pricing, are there other elements besides the number of pages and CSS customization that you use to determine the pricing tiers? Not really, because I don't want to be too prescriptive with clients. I kind of let them pick whatever they think they want. So it's going to be, what are the big movers in a quote? Well, it's amount of pages. Another one is timeline. So amount of pages, complexity of the code. Because if a client's like, I just want my logo to rotate, that'll take me a minute. So that's not going to move anything here or there. But complexity of code, amount of code, timeline. So I say tier 1 is up to 2 weeks. Tier 2 is up to 5 weeks. Tier 3 can go on for months. And so if the client again expects a time frame to swell, then they may have to bump themselves up. And it's not just whether they fall within tiers that this decides. It is how far within the tier they reside, because from 2.5K to 6.5K, it's quite a big gap. So, your 2.5K is more going to be like a 1 or a 2 page site. Then if they want like a little bit of code, I'll say, okay, well, we'll keep you in tier 1 because there is a bit of flexibility here. It's not super rigid, because if you try and if you try and sell a very bespoke package to a client, more often than not, they're not going to fit into it. And so you end up having to adjust the scope and the price anyway. So why didn't you just do a bespoke quote from the off? That's why these tiers are so efficient. Patrick says, how do you pivot to other client markets? I have specifically worked with artists and small businesses. However, I fear the price point for individual artists specifically is limited. Yeah, so definitely, if you want to scale, I mean, you can work with them, but as you've alluded to, there's no real money there. So you don't have to pivot. Just this is where people get. I could go on about this for hours. This is where people get stuck. I only work with, artists in Alabama, and they have to have brown hair. People go so far into a niche that it becomes a detriment. It becomes not a rabbit hole, a pigeonhole. And they're like, oh, well, I can't find clients and I can't scale. And it's like, yeah, because your target audience has gone from it's gone from this with the entire world to like this. So you don't need to pivot. You just need to offer Squarespace as a service. Hey, I'm Patrick. I offer Squarespace website design. If I'm building for an artist or I'm building for a medical startup, it's the same sections, same blocks, same fonts, same colors, same CSS. It's all the same. Or the base building blocks are the same. It's what goes within them that's different. The different copy, different imagery, but the base components, it's all the same. So I might have a YouTube video on this, but I think niching any further than Squarespace is the enemy. And I will die on that hill. That is something that maybe email me after this and we'll talk about it. But there's no need to like change your copy unless you say you only work with artists, in which case say I am a Squarespace designer. Check my site out for like copy ideas. Theo, I am already on Digital Launchpad. By the way, the greatest thing ever. Woohoo! And I saw that this morning. I'll reach out to him. Okay, great. Yeah. That was just nice to tell everyone that it's the greatest ever. Luca, when you mentioned a website farm, do you create a copy of the website for your farm before handing it over? We don't build it from, I kind of get what you mean here. That's actually a really good idea. So anyone who's going to start this fresh off the back of this call, instead of linking to a site like the live site, because the client may change it, that's a great idea. Duplicate the site into your drafts, and it's there. Yeah. Thank you. So yeah, I would duplicate it. Lazar, I know I am good at designing, but how can I learn coding fast? Because I wasn't listening to the teachers in school. Don't worry, I didn't listen to teachers either. Quickest way would be look at Will Myers' Code Curious. It's like, I want to say $15 a month. So super, super good value. And Will's an amazing teacher. He was the guy that I went to for all my like plugins and code when I started. And what you do with plugins, tutorials, you reverse engineer. Okay, why does this work? If I look at a button, like a button code, and it says border radius 20px, and I change that 20 to 2, and it goes much straighter. Oh, okay, so px must be the amount of something or the size of something. If I go to font size, and that's 20px, which would be huge, but I change that to 2px. Oh, it goes smaller. So this obviously changes things. And then you start doing that with all the code snippets that you find. This process of reverse engineering will give you the best education possible. Plus, when you start working with clients, they're going to throw so many requests at you that you'll have to go into the forum and find answers to. You're not just going to know it. You can't just figure it out. You have to go and learn it. And once you learn and internalize a solution, it stays with you. Create a Google document, put in all the codes that you pick up along the way, give them titles so you know what they do. And then you can always refer to that. And the more you train that muscle, the better you'll get. Luca and Lazar have been the best question askers ever. I love it. And Patrick, actually. So when you get a gig, Luca says, when you get a gig through a freelance platform, do you still follow the same sales process, such as a call, onboarding form, and proposal, or do you take a different approach, since most platforms start with sending a proposal? Great question. I will always send an initial, like a pitch. Then I'll get them on a call, and then on that call, we'll gauge whether the pitch is correct. Because on a pitch on a freelance platform, it's kind of a guess because you haven't spoken to them, you don't quite know the entire scope. So the point of the pitch is just to get their attention. Then you get on a call, you understand the needs better, and then you've tested whether, okay, can we stay with this price? Can we stay with the scope? Or do I need to change it? So there's a slight differentiation there. Just checking in the live chat as well. Yeah, amazing. Let's see. Anyone else? If anyone else has got any questions, please put them in. And if not, I'll wait for the lag, but if not, we can end it there. And if so, a massive, massive thank you to everyone who came. Hopefully you found this useful. Hopefully the answering of the questions also sort of brought it all together. And I don't think we've got any more questions. So massive, massive thank you to everyone. If you want to email me anytime, you can. If you want to join Six Figure Design Club, then you know where to go. You know where to find me. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.